Welcome to my channel. In this video, we will learn about the carrier sense multiple axis with the collision avoidance. So in the previous video, we have seen the collision detection, how the collision will be detected in the carrier sense multiple axis protocol, right? So in the case of the Ethernet or in the bus topology, in the early Ethernet technology, we were using the CD technique, that is the collision detection techniques. But in the case of the collision avoidance, carrier sense multiple axis with the collision avoidance technique is used in the wireless networks. So the basic idea behind the CSMA or CA is that the station should be able to receive while transmitting to detect a collision from different stations. So the station should be able to receive while transmitting to detect a collision from the different stations. So in the wired networks, if a collision has occurred, then the energy of the receiver signal almost doubles and the station can sense the possibility of the collision. But in the case of wireless networks, most of the energy is used for transmission and the energy of the receiver signal increases by only 5 to 10% if a collision occurs. So it can't be used by the station to sense the collision. So therefore, CSMA or CA has been specially designed for the wireless networks. So in the case of the wired networks, that is in the Ethernet technology, so if there is any collision, suppose there is a transmission from the station A to station B, and while transmitting the data here, so at a particular point T, so there is a collision, and the signal will the collided signal will get doubled and it will get reversed back to the station, and the station will understand that there is a collision while transmitting the data. So there is no acknowledgements here. So here using the detection techniques, so at a particular point of time, so there is a collision and the receiver signal will get doubled and it will transmit to the station. That is in the case of the wired technologies. In the wireless technology, that is in the CSMA CA, what happens means, suppose let us consider there is a router and there are three systems connected to the router. Okay, so here suppose there is a so this CSMA CA works in the wireless technology, wireless LANs. So here all the three systems are connected to the router, and while transmitting the data from the router 1 to this system, so there is a collision here. Okay, so there is a collision here, and this collision will, so it will indicate the remaining system to not transmit the router, not to communicate with the it will abort the transmission with the router for a certain amount of time, because there is a collision between the system and the router. So they will send a certain signal such that the transmission between these two systems will get aborted with the router. So this is in the case of the wireless LANs. So the random access CSMA CA, we are having three types of strategies, that is the interframe space, contention window and acknowledgements. In the case of the interframe space, that means the space while transmitting the data. So when a station finds the channel busy, it senses the channel again. When a station finds the channel to be idle, it waits for a certain amount of time called interframe space. IFS can also be used to define the priority of a station or a frame. Higher the IFS, lower is the priority. So here when a station wants to transmit the data, first of all it will sense the channel. If the channel is idle, then it will transmit the data normally. But in the case of the interframe space, if the channel is idle, even though channel is idle, the station will wait for a certain amount of time. So that is called as a IFS time, and then it will transmit the data. So IFS, interframe space, is used to give the priority to the station to transmit the data. So if the IFS is lower, then it is having higher priority. So next one is the contention window. So it is the amount of time divided into slots. A station that is ready to send frames chooses a random number of slots as the waiting time. So here the contention window means the channel time is divided into multiple number of slots, and each station which is having frames to transmit the data is allotted a particular slot. So it has to transmit only at that particular slot. at a particular time slot. Next one is the acknowledgements. The positive acknowledgement and timeout timer can help guarantee a successful transmission of the frame. So in the case of the go back and protocol, the sliding window protocols, we have used this timeout timer and the positive acknowledgements. Okay, so it will guarantee a successful transmission of the frame, whether the frame has successfully reached the destination or not. So we can know using the help of these acknowledgements. So this is all about the random access CSMA or CA protocol. Thanks for watching my video.